Hi, I'm Doug Powell. I hope you enjoyed your lunch. I'm just sitting here in my kitchen in Brisbane, making up some pizza dough for dinner tonight, and thought we'd have a little chat about food safety. I was in Saskatchewan a couple weeks ago, and it took me 65 hours to get home, so I thought I'd dial this one in. Now, in 1985, 19 people died in a nursing home in London, Ontario from E. coli 0157, and that was the biggest outbreak until Scotland in 1996. The Ontario government announced a training program and stressing, that training was really important. There is no mandatory training in Ontario. There is if you coach little girls hockey. That's me with a lot more hair at the side. The kid 1-2 over is one of mine. The goalie's one of mine. And the guy who's a lot fuzzier now, who you're going to hear from next, is over on the side, because what use are graduate students if you don't make them coach girls hockey? But to even open the door on the bench for girls hockey, you need a 3-hour training course for how to treat, parents who are belligerent. To coach a hockey team of little 7 and 8-year-old girls, you need 12 hours training. And to coach a travel team like this, you need something like 36 hours training. To serve food in Ontario, you need nothing. So what is credibility? What is training? This is a really bad picture that goes way, way back in my older days. Who's the more credible, the dude in the suit or the hippie on the other side? Well, the dude in the suit was the head of Greenpeace Canada at the time and really had nothing credible to say. And that's all about perception and stuff and how you get your message out there. We'll come back to that. But perception and getting the message out has a big thing. Now, in 2008, as you Canadians know, Maple Leaf was the source of a listeria outbreak that sickened 57 and killed 23 people. Now, how many people think Michael McCain did an outstanding communication job in the aftermath? Hands? See, I don't. He did textbook risk communication, but with any of these problems, you also need risk assessment and risk management. He just said, well, listeria is everywhere, so there's nothing, it just happens. Yet, the United States went through that in 1998 in the Bilmar outbreak on hot dogs, and for a $5.5 billion a year company, they should have known better. And we should expect more of our producers and our processors. There was a subsequent inquiry, and the Witherell report I specifically identified that there was no culture of food safety at Maple Leaf. I mean, they saw the listeria counts going up. They didn't know what to do about it. And it turns out it was in the deep slicers. Maple Leaf has done a lot of things in the aftermath, but they still haven't done the real stuff. They won't put labels on their packages. They won't make public their test data. And yet the entire food industry is moving towards increased levels of transparency. So either get on that bandwagon or get out. This is my wife when she was pregnant 5 years ago. And for pregnant women, listeria has severe consequences. But it's really hard to compete in the message environment when you have Toronto Sick Kids Hospital saying, oh yeah, pregnant women can eat deli meats or soft-ripened cheeses as long as they're obtained from reputable sources. I have no idea what a reputable source is, especially if I can't get the data on their listeria testing. For a hospital to say that to pregnant women is unconscionable, and yet no one has called them on it in Canada. This amount of information is it's ridiculous. And as processors, you want trust so people buy your product, but you have to earn that trust. I was telling my 4-year-old the other day, just like I did on my other girls, when someone says, trust me, they're not worthy of your trust. You have to prove it. You can trust, but you verify, and you provide that information. Oh, look at this. This is a grocery store in Florida, Publix. It's the biggest chain in Florida. They have on their deli meat packages that you got to use it within 3 days because that's the lifespan. I don't see any of that in Canada. It'd be nice if someone did it, but I don't see it. What else is going on in Canada? Well, this woman in Nova Scotia, she got sick with E. coli 0157 after eating lettuce. 26 people, California lettuce, served in KFC and Taco Bell. After spinach in 2006, they formed the Leafy Greens Marketing Agreement in California, and its major accomplishment has been to suppress information about lettuce and spinach related outbreaks from California. It's very hard to get information these days. That does not build trust. The latest E. coli 0157 outbreak in beef was in Canada, Cardinal Meats out of Brampton, and we get some usual statements like, oh, well, you see, we can't really recall till we really have proof, and that's what happened with Listeria and Maple Leaf as well. Somehow, epidemiology doesn't count anymore, only positive test results, and that's just ridiculous. You need to go with epidemiology, and you know what? Your consumers know that. They can figure that out. They know when you're BSing, and they'll respond at the marketplace. So that's what someone from CFIA said. Oh, and then again, it's the consumer's fault. Blame your consumer. Just cook it. I challenge any of you in this room to cook a safe hamburger and verify that for me. It is not that easy. Oh, and also do it without cross-contaminating your kitchen. That might be a real good trick. Being in Alberta, you're familiar with E. coli 0157 in XL beef. Here we had 40 inspectors, 6 veterinarians, and they didn't notice these problems until after people started getting sick. So why are they there? I'm not sure. We now have all these big companies who brag about their great traceability systems and how they source from known sources, and you got horse meat showing up everywhere. Now, I don't think I'd buy meatballs from IKEA, but if it said meatballs and beef, I'd want it to be beef, not horse. So food fraud has always gone on. But again, the technology and the information availability is here today where you can build a very transparent case with that buying public. Otherwise, you're going to be held hostage by local, natural, sustainable, dolphin-free, whatever. All those things are playing on the trust that you have with your consumers. So you either provide the data or someone else will just make stuff up for you. Listeria and cantaloupe, 33 people died. Nice. And everyone blames each other. Salmonella and mangoes, bunch of people sick in Canada. They're from Mexico. Again, salmonella and cantaloupe, 2012. You think they would have learned from the year before, but nope. People think they're not going to get caught. One grower who tested positive for Listeria this year, but was not related to any illnesses, just said, we're done, not worth the risk, let someone else do it, it's not worth the liability. Okay, so what products are you willing to get out of that aren't worth the liability, or are you willing to put in place the systems to make a safe product and advertise it? Romaine lettuce in Missouri, 60 people sick. E. coli and strawberries. See, it's not just factory farmed cows that produce E. coli. This was deer. And Bambi's been involved in several outbreaks over the last 15 that have been known. This is the most recent one. Bambi goes through the strawberry patch and had a dump. A woman died. That's what happens. Walnuts in Canada. Never did get a full reporting on this one. Said they were imported from Canada. Bunch of people got sick. People in California said, what are you talking about? No one knows. CFIA is very quick to go public about products from other countries, but they are very slow to go public about products produced within Canada. Hazelnuts in Oregon. I'm just showing you these to show the breadth. This was a student of mine who did his master's degree at K-State, but he did all his work in Winnipeg because Rob Mancini is an inspector there. And this relates to an E. coli 0157 outbreak at Folklorama in Winnipeg. and he looked at how can we come up with better training mechanisms. And that's what I'm getting to in all this, is what we're doing is not working, so it's crazy to keep doing the same thing. Instead, we need to figure out what's a better way of doing things and to evaluate those and to get on with it. And this was one such experiment. This is an oldie but a goodie just to show you what the existing is out there. This is a 2005 outbreak of salmonella linked to a chain of convenience stores at gas stations called Sheetz in Pennsylvania. Anyone guess what the source of the salmonella was in those sandwiches? It was the tomatoes. So pre-wrapped sandwiches that you go into a gas station, you buy, and out you go. One consumer said, I'm not worried about the food at Sheetz. I get diarrhea from my own cooking all the time. When I talk about marketing food safety, that's not what I have in mind. But then there's these consumer partnerships that are going to go educate consumers. And at the time, I guess it was 2004, not 2005, they said, in the light, the first line of defense to reduce risk is to cook, clean, chill, and separate. This was a ready-made sandwich where consumers are supposed to take the tomato out and wash it and put it back in. And by the way, washing does very little on fresh produce. These are bad messages, and you shouldn't get wound up with them. Here's another bad message from a Canadian you may recognize. This was during the Sprouts outbreak in Ontario in 2005, in which 648 people got sick. And this celebrity dude said, oh, everyone's getting too anal about it. I mean, we're dealing with living fruits and vegetables. The only people getting anal about it were those that had explosive diarrhea. On the processing side, you would think that a pot pie, a 50-cent pot pie, that's how much they cost in Manhattan, Kansas, and students love them, would be a simple thing to cook, and that maybe the company would have verified beforehand that it was cooked. Turns out, not so simple. 400 people got sick. We followed the cooking instructions and found huge temperature variations, and the result was a lot of media. 401 people got sick. But in the end, the company said, well, you need to use a thermometer on a meat pie. Now, I can't get people to use a thermometer on a chicken breast or a hamburger, and now we're supposed to do it on a 50-cent pot pie. At what point did the consumer become the critical control point in your food safety supply system? As a processor, do you really want the consumer to be the critical control point that's going to take your brand down? I don't think so. Peanut Corporation of America, 2009. They provided something like 1% of the peanut paste for all of the US, and it ended up in this huge recall. The directors of the company were indicted a couple of weeks ago, finally, because they deliberately were doing bad things. In the end, 9 people died, 691 sickened. Over 3,900 different peanut butter, peanut paste products, those little crackers that your kids like, recalled. What was the food safety culture at this plant? It's all in the reports. A guy from Nestle went in a few years before this happened, and he said, your plant's a dump, we're not buying from you. And that's a consistent theme in the food safety world. You find these food safety heroes who go in, and usually it's because the company has their own people and does not rely just on paperwork and whine about it. And they go and they check it out. Hand washing was terrible, inadequate controls, and they were lab shopping, which meant if they got a salmonella positive, they would just go to another lab. But hey, they got the highest possible rating from their auditor. Is that supposed to give you confidence? Well, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't buy from them, but apparently lots of people did. Like Kellogg's, that was required to recall about 2,000 odd product lines, and at the time was actually more concerned about their relationship with Michael Phelps, the swimmer who'd been caught smoking a bong, rather than the peanut butter recall that killed 9 people and sickened 600 and something. Then the president of Kellogg's went to Congress and said, we need more inspection. When people say we need more inspection, that means things have gone off the rail. They can't do it themselves, and they're looking for an out. The people who profit from manufacturing food, it is their responsibility to provide safe food. Now, there are lots of people out there who can help you do that, but it is fundamentally your responsibility. Like this celebrity chef, we're seeing this going on right now. The best restaurant in the world, Noma in Denmark, has a norovirus outbreak in which 63 people got sick. Same thing happened at Heston Blumenthal's Fat Duck, in which 529 people got sick. In both cases, sick food workers were working because these guys are so concerned about food porn and attitude and whatever, image. But with norovirus, it's so contagious, you don't want anyone around food with noro, and hopefully the servers you had for lunch didn't have symptoms either. They found all sorts of problems in terms of response, but these people, they just blame others. Salmonella in eggs from Iowa, lots of people got sick. I can go on and on and on. So the question is, what is safe food? For my mind, it's food that doesn't make you barf, or in some cases make your pets barf, because there are a lot of salmonella outbreaks on pet treats right now. This will make you barf. This is your next speaker. He said I can keep using this slide, so I will. But for others, it's a little more tragic. This was a 5-year-old who died in Wales in 2005. Huge outbreak in meat supplied to the school lunch program. This was Wales' Butcher of the Year, who didn't know, or did know, to use different machines for raw and cooked product to vacuum pack it, and led to cross-contamination, and a whole bunch of kids got sick. Professor Hugh Pennington led an inquiry, and again, just like with Maple Leaf, and this was before Maple Leaf, no food safety culture, money trumps safety. All kinds of failures identified. How can we get to preventing the failures beforehand? So we look to the World Health Organization. The factors contributing to foodborne illness. These are the top 5. These are all human factors, and they're all behavior-based. So why do we focus our attention on these other things? Furthermore, as processors, you're getting ingredients from everywhere. Look at these outbreaks that have happened. Broccoli powder on a snack food, pot pies, the pepper that's used in your finished product. You have to know your suppliers. Now, I'm not naive enough to say that every company should have their own people go and check every supplier. There's going to be a role for auditors, but at least have someone in the company who has enough food safety expertise to assess what that audit report means and ask some hard questions. Because otherwise, you're going to end up on a slide in one of my presentations or someone else's as an example of things gone wrong. The other way to get people is you're not going to educate them. If you wanted to educate them, they would all be in school and doing all sorts of things. They mix up entertainment and storytelling. That's how you inform people. You provide them with information. And as the good Canadian Marshall McLuhan said in Annie Hall here, anyone who tries to distinguish entertainment from education doesn't know the first thing about either. So thermometers, that's a way of getting data. It's useful, but for a processed pot pie, those things should be fully cooked so that you're not relying on consumers. For a hamburger patty and a chicken breast, I won't cook without it. I feel naked these days if I do. Restaurant inspection disclosure. I'm not sure what the system is in Alberta or Edmonton or wherever you are. This is LA. Toronto has red, yellow, green. The point is people are expecting more information. In Denmark, they use smiley faces. We designed the disclosure system for New Zealand. This one didn't really get too far, but we liked it. The point is people are expecting information. This is a form of disclosure, no different than a form of disclosure that processors could use or primary producers. Consumers want that information. Instead, what they get is celebrity chefs spouting nonsense. And it really is nonsensical, and we've written a couple of papers about this. I mean, I don't just make it up. I have all the references online, and all these slides are available. You get pressures to eat locally, which in Brisbane is great because we have a wonderful climate. It's subtropical. It's like living in Tampa, except they don't export all the fruit and veg. So we just have a wonderful supply of produce and seafood year-round. But for someone from here to say, well, I don't know why people just don't eat seasonally, well, they haven't lived in Alberta, and it's not that easy. So eat local is a pressure, but again, that's just a consumer response to wanting some control over the safety. Same with farmers markets. Bacteria don't care. There are outbreaks at big places, there are outbreaks at little places. There's outbreaks in local food, there's outbreaks in food from around the globe. People either know about bacteria and take steps to reduce the risk, or they don't. And what I want to be able to buy from is the people who take those steps and let me know about it. Because at the supermarket, it's all faith-based. In fact, I would argue the porn industry is more responsible than the food industry. Because the food industry says, well, you have to cook your pot pies, or you have to cook your hamburger, or you have to cook your eggs. That'd be like the porn industry saying, use a condom, when they shut down if they get positive. Just like that. And this is, the whole food safety message is sort of lost in the overwhelming amount of messages involving food porn. All right, so what do we learn from all these outbreaks? Food safety begins on the farm and goes all the way through the systems. These are biological systems, not conspiracies. Any system is only as good as the weakest link, and stop blaming consumers. So how are we going to ensure this? Well, there's third-party audits. My criminal neighbor's playing music. I hope you're not picking it up too much. Third-party audits are of limited use. Like I said, they have a role, but I wouldn't rely on it, and I certainly wouldn't put my brand on it. We've written papers about this, and to improve audits and inspections, more companies should evaluate risk themselves, evaluate practices internally, and we need an audit industry that's more forthcoming, better risk identification, and combat indifference. And the alternative to HACCP and scientific systems is faith-based. So, food safety culture. After looking at audits and looking at inspections and looking at a lot of outbreaks over 20 years, I and my colleagues have come to the conclusion that establishing a food safety culture within an organization is probably the most effective way to do it. And by that I mean, and the term's getting overused already, but by that I mean, if I'm an employee at one of your plants and I go to the bathroom and I see another employee going number 2 and then walking out, I would say, dude, wash your hands. Because the owner can't be there 24/7, the inspector can't be there 24/7. You need it embedded within the culture, and places like Walmart and Disney have shown this can be done. It just goes to that employees must wash hands. That really does not work. So we come up with alternatives. We try and figure out what does work. With hand washing, it's a mixture of shock and shame. It depends on your audience, depends on the age, but that's why we do things. I believe Ben will talk about this more in the next session. So here's all the things that are involved. What you really want to do is try not to make people sick. It's bad for business. Create a culture of food safety in your organization. Embrace evidence-based, microbiologically safe food. Then market it and back it up. In terms of marketing food safety, you want to source food from safe sources. Ask them hard questions. Public disclosure of everything. Mandatory certification. Rapid, relevant, reliable, and repeated information. And you provide information. You're not going to educate. You just say, here's the information, you decide. When you do that, and if you actually go to retail and to consumers, then it feeds back through the system. Then you have a reason for telling that person on the farm, this is why you wash your hands, because that person at the end is going to be eating it. And that message works. As food safety leaders, you do more than just follow perceptions. You create the perceptions. So create the perception of safe food based on reality. Food safety information must be rapid, reliable, relevant, and repeated. And you in the room know that food safety is complex, constant, requires commitment, and you have to be compelling. Everything I said can be found here. The talk will be available, and if the wonders of technology work, I'll now be available for discussion, and we'll open it up. Thank you very much.